Not your average tabletop. Woohoo!
Welcome to Not Your Average Tabletop. I'm Zach.
And I'm Pepper.
And today we're giving our first impressions on Teotihucan, City of Gods.
I was worried you were going to point to me to say that name.
Well, you could say it again, because I doubt I said it right.
You got it right, I'm sure.
I hope it was at least somewhat close. I don't know that it's exactly right.
I've heard it said that way at least. So.
Yeah. But it's definitely one of those hard T games to pronounce.
Yes.
For sure. But anyway, we just got done playing our first game of it. You had kind of played
I'd kind
a mock
of set it up
round.
and just kind of taken some of the actions and gotten the feel of it.
Mm-hmm. Kind of after reading, or while reading the rules, I think you did. But this was the first full-fledged game of it, and I ended up pulling out the victory.
Yes.
Kind of at the end.
You got 182.
To 152.
152. Yes, 30 points.
So 30-point victory, but I think throughout the game it was pretty close.
Yes.
Throughout, most of the game we were probably within 10
feel
to 15 points of each other.
I'd get a little bit of a lead, you'd pull it back, go ahead a little bit, and it just kind of a little back and forth, and then you pulled ahead with some good moves late, and I didn't really have the best of the last few turns.
Yeah, it kind of fell apart for you kind of at the end, but the end definitely snuck up quickly.
Yes, it
for
did.
sure. But I guess going into this game, I think I've been a little more excited to play the T games than you have, because they're definitely a little thinkier, crunchier, more
For
AP
sure.
prone, and we both struggle with that. I think you do a little more than I do.
Yeah.
So I think that might be part of it, and then also I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. Do you like crunchier games?
I feel like I get surprised sometimes when I play crunchy games, and I do enjoy them. But they do, so I can still enjoy them, but they do turn me off of the game, just for getting into its sake, and learning it, and getting used to being able to crunch those resources and money and all that. It's hard for me to get into a game like that.
That's fair. Because, and earlier this year we'd also played Teotihucan for the first time, which was in person on the board. And we also played Zulkan once on BGA. So we've kind of, now this is the third one we've played of these.
Played 3 T games.
I don't know that, and it's also, I think we've played them all this year once, and that's the only times we've played them. We've played them all once now.
Although I've played Teotihucan solo twice.
Yeah, okay. Yep. So you've played it a couple more times.
I'm the expert.
You are the expert. And if I remember right, you didn't like Zulkan as much.
No,
and
not too much.
Surprisingly, you liked Teotihucan more than I did. Well, you rated it slightly
gave
higher
it
than I did.
higher first impression rating than you did.
Yeah, so you seem to like it more. So I really have
Which
no idea.
I think that was mostly just because I had more experience, so I was able to enjoy the game a little more because I understood it more.
Yeah, so that kind of going into this one, then I didn't know kind of where you'd feel on that. I can't remember kind of how people rank this one in weight or kind of how hard the game is or what compared to the other ones. But what were you expecting going into this after playing those other two? Did that influence it at all?
I knew it could go well, could go good, or it could go poorly because I'm not a big fan of Zulkan. But I do actually like Teotihucan a good bit. So I'm like, okay, if it's a Teotihucan, that's fine. Zulkan, not so much. But I was a little more excited just because of these pyramid pieces that you use to build up the pyramid. And I think that kind of eased my worries enough to get me kind of to a neutral basis going into it. Just to be like, okay, well, even if the game's not that great, that should be a cool tactile experience with that.
Yeah, definitely something different than the other games.
It's not really what you'd expect, because when I think of the T series of games, I think of just like blah, dry, crunchy.
Yeah, for sure. I guess out of the three, the gears, or the pyramid, or or not the pyramid, the obelisk, or like building up this pyramid. Which do you think is the coolest hook out of those three things?
Oh, they are all cool.
Regardless of really their functions.
Yeah.
Just-
just the idea of them, and kind of, I guess, does appearance come into this at all? Would you think?
Sure. I mean, yeah, whatever. I guess if you saw these three games set up, had no idea what they were, which one, based on that thing, would pull you in? You'd be like, I got to try that game.
Out of those, I feel like this. Although just with all the symbols on these, I think that would be a little more overwhelming just looking at it. The obelisk looks the simplest. But it is kind of cool having that. That's definitely the biggest.
The biggest thing on the board.
Adds more to the table presence. But yeah, I think the gears might be the most interesting, just because of all the parts that it actually moves on the board.
Yeah, I think I would agree. I think I'd go gears, then this, then obelisk for myself. I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think when I was looking at this, I wasn't really sure what to think. But then I'd been hearing all these good things, and I think I like Zolkin a decent amount. I'd have to play it some more to really get an idea. But I think I like that one a bit more than I like Teotihucan. But I didn't dislike Teotihucan. I just felt like it didn't seem to, for me, it didn't seem to connect the things as well. But that's based off of one play, so I'm sure, playing it more, I could get to the point where I would feel like things, start connecting and making a little more sense in my head. Because there's definitely a lot to take in for all of these games as to how can I get these two things to go together, or three things, or four things. It's kind of like trying to juggle a bunch of things at once and trying to get them to go together. So I was definitely looking forward to this one because, I had recently started hearing a lot of people talking about it and how much they liked it. And that kind of made me think that it's maybe, a little more approachable. Because the more people you hear, there's definitely, at least I think the people that I see on Instagram or whatever, I wouldn't say that they're all the heaviest gamers. I don't just follow a bunch of people that play, I don't even know what games that are probably beyond my level for sure. I mean, I like crunchy games, but there's a point where it gets to be almost too much, and then you're really using mathematics. And that's the point where it might turn me off a little bit, but that kind of got me excited for this one. So I was pretty hopeful on kind of I think this part of the game I was hoping would really
add a little juice into the
kind of add something
game
to it. Yes, so I had mid to high expectations for the game. I think going in.
Yeah.
So then after the one play where those expectations met.
First off, how hard do you think it is to get into this game? How welcoming do you think it actually is?
I don't think it's as welcoming as I thought it would be. There's definitely still a lot of thinkiness to this one. It's got some of those same feelings to Teotihucan, but to me it felt like it came together in my head a little bit easier than Teotihucan. Kind of the different action spots working together, or kind of being able to get something at one to do another one. To me, it kind of felt like it went together better than that one. But it was still definitely you had to be planning a couple turns in advance, I think, to really make it work. I don't know that. I'm sure there's people out there that can think way, way in advance, but I'm not quite at that level. But I think you definitely have to be thinking at least 2 turns in advance for this one. And even that can be a bit intimidating. And there's definitely, with what's going on the board, it can be not hard, it can be easy to forget something, just small things.
Definitely, with those technologies.
Yes.
You kind of get passive bonuses when you take certain other actions. We probably forgot
I'm
throughout the game.
Yeah.
Because we caught ourselves 5 times
Right.
at least. Just
Right,
being
and then
"Oh,
like
yeah, you
doing
get
the
that."
turn marker
Yes.
right off the bat of the game, I start asking Jesse, when does that even move? And he's like, oh shoot, it's supposed to be moving every time. So we pretty much had our whole first round done, and here I thought, well, we got a lot of time left here. But that definitely sped up the game quickly.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, then like the bonuses that I got a cacao or cocoa or whatever coming around here every time, and I felt like that was easy to forget. And then
yeah.
kind of the payment, you could maybe not be thinking about that because you're
yeah.
just thinking about, oh, what am I going to get? And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, wait, but I don't even have the stuff that I would need
Yeah.
to be able to go there type thing. I think it's those small little things that are easy to forget for sure.
yeah.
And then it's also getting the points from some of the areas are easy to forget to
yeah.
score those
Yeah.
as well, I think. So I think it's one of those, probably like Tekenu. I'm sure Zolkin as well. That's the one we've played the longest ago, so I don't remember everything about it. I think it feels like all these are ones that you have to play a lot
Yep.
more often, or at least a few more times, to really be able to remember how to score things. And
Yeah.
I think that would be an easier thing too if you're going to be teaching people. You definitely have to be the one watching what people are doing and making sure
Yeah.
they're able to get those things or pay their dues.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely one where I feel like you should probably be thinking, and you kind of have to think a few moves ahead, but it's one where you can't really think too far ahead. At least for me, with my AP, more than like 3 moves ahead is just going to be way too many moving parts as well. And like you said, I feel Tekenu doesn't really kind of come together. It's like 2 sections kind of pair together, 2 other sections pair together, 2 more pair together. Where this feels like it's different, because there are some pairing, because I know that this kind of
Right.
pairs with this track, and kind of building the tiles and placing decorations on the tiles. But you also kind of have the technologies, which can affect everything. You have producing resources, which can be used for whatever actions you want. That uses them, obviously. So it feels more together, but I don't know if it actually is more like all towards one center thing.
Right. Yeah. I agree with you.
But
there
it
are
feels
some
a lot
that
more
kind of
connected,
work
tied
better
together.
than others, but yeah, something about it to me at least felt like it. Most of the
I mean,
stuff
it's not
came
as
together.
obviously just this.
And then I think the other thing about the game that maybe wasn't as great as I was hoping was probably doing this itself. I like how it works, and it makes sense how you get the bonuses and stuff. Well, the bonuses and the points. But I guess I was hoping more that I'd have a little more control over trying to set things up to, give myself, 4 points here, 4 points there, a lot easier. But you really don't have. I don't know that you can really do that too much.
Because to go there, you're gonna have to pay resources. And if you're trying to really kind of combo things together, you're gonna need quite a few resources and possibly multiple dice there. And the points that you get you get some points for whatever layer you put it on, but you also get points for matching symbols, and there's usually not that many. And it's not that many points that you get.
Right.
And there's a lot of tiles that you can't even really gain a bonus from up the track. So I wish there were
a few more bonuses on
Yeah,
them.
I wish maybe just every tile has a color on it. Because I feel like that, and with the decorations as well. Well, actually, the decorations all have colors. But it just kind of felt not as great as it should have been with the rewards.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking. Just based on the fact that it's in the center of the board and kind of seems like the main thing of the game.
Yeah.
I think there's definitely enough that you can get up multiple tracks. So I feel like if they did that, then it might be too much.
Yeah.
You might be able to get up everything too easily. So I could see why they wouldn't have done it, but I think I would have focus maybe more on putting them in the center, just because
Yeah.
to me that's like the selling point of the game. Or
Yeah.
even though it's not the only thing you can do, you could probably avoid it and
Yeah.
still win the game pretty easily by maybe not totally avoid it, but only put a couple on there and still be
Yeah.
fine. I think
Yeah.
you don't need to necessarily do that. There's definitely enough opportunities to get points elsewhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that was a little disappointing to me, but I still liked how it worked, and building up on it. Still interesting. It feels cool.
Yeah,
Building
I
up.
like how it worked, and I think if that was just like the whole game was just that, and people placing tiles on there, I think it would work. But when you kind of build up to it so much by gathering your resources and planning out your actions, it does feel like a bit of a letdown when you finally do get to place the tiles, and it's only a few points here and maybe a movement on a track.
Right. Yeah. That was the only thing. And maybe, this is only the first time we played it. Maybe there's a way to get a lot more resources to be able to place multiple of those at once. I don't think there would be, just because then I think the game you'd be able to finish it too quickly with this.
Yeah.
But yeah, otherwise, I think I'd give this one. I can't remember what I gave to Kenu, but I think I like this one slightly more. It's probably like a 7.75-ish, I think, is what I'd give this one. But I could see it going both ways, either up or down with more plays.
Yeah.
But I think it's pretty solid. I like how it comes together, and I think after playing it, a lot of things make sense as to how it all works.
Yeah.
It takes a little. I think it takes at least one play to kind of understand all of how the things work and whatnot. But once you do, most of the stuff is pretty simple. Just some easy things to forget, some small things.
Yeah.
It's the main negative, I think.
Yeah, I agree. This was a little easier than I had thought going into it, because you can kind of just tackle your next 2 turns or tackle your next 3 turns. Be like, I'm going to move here, here, and here, and I think that kind of handles the AP a little bit. If you're just like, okay, where's my next die going to go? You can only move 1 to 3 spots. You only have 3 or 4 dice. That limits it a little bit in what you can do. And also the time, I thought it was going to be quite a long game, and it was longer because it was our first time playing. But the time, it really does ramp up in how fast you progress through the rounds in the game.
Right. Yeah. The first round felt a little bit longer, but that's probably because we weren't moving it for most of the time.
Yeah.
But then the next 2 rounds just went like that. It felt like, oh my gosh, I don't have enough time to do what I want to do, which I think is good, because I think I still did get enough done to feel satisfied.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, oh, it ended way too soon and I didn't get anything done. But it kept me wanting just one more thing or another 2 things or something like that. I think it was about right.
Yeah, I think, even though we probably made some mistakes with the timing of things.
It could have been.
Also, for a 2-player game, we were supposed to place out neutral dice, and I had forgotten to do that.
So we got
the game. So
probably 3 or 4 rounds without the dice.
Yes.
Because I think what made you think of that was the fact that you didn't have any of this cocoa or whatever cacao left. So I think that kind of, you were like, well, how am I supposed to get any of this?
Yeah.
And then that definitely helped in that aspect, getting more of that.
Yeah. But I think the timing in the game, I think they probably hit it about perfectly. At least in a 2-player game, I think the amount of rounds and turns that you get felt like you said, like you get to do a lot, but you still feel like you could do more. And I think they hit it about perfect there. So I'm going to give this one.
Does he like it more?
I'm going to give it a 7.25.
7.25?
So not as much as Tekenu, but I still do like a lot of the actions. And you feel, there's times in this game where you can feel like you're really getting a lot of rewards as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's definitely a lot of interesting things to this game, a lot of fun little things that...
a lot of little things that can combo together, and really just... Because I know I had some times where I just move up a track here, gain some resources. I went here and just got a ton of resources with 1 die for that, if I played that correctly. I believe I did.
I think so.
But yeah, there's a lot of potential, and there's a lot of different. We just played the base, what it tells you to set up for your first game. There's a few different scoring options for some of these tracks. There's different special abilities down here. I'm not sure how many there were there. A few different technologies, and you can also move, because you have to go in a clockwise direction on the board. You can move the boards in different placements. So I definitely think there is some variability in there as well that has me excited.
Yeah, definitely, probably a lot of replayability, which is very, very cool, very interesting how you could move them around. It'd be interesting to see how that plays and feels different. Because, yeah, sometimes it seems like you needed to pay something to do something else, and they could be, like, say the gold is up here in this corner where it was this game, and then paying for those, you have to, once you get the gold, you still have at least 2 moves before you can get there, and that's if you take, it looks like the maximum amount of steps.
Yeah.
So then, if you have to do this, you have to do the action, so you're paying gold here, so then it's like, oh, that's tough.
Yeah, it is tough.
So it'd be interesting to see how it would work if the gold was a little closer to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is Tekenu, City
That is not
of
Tekenu.
God. That is Teotihucan.
City of God.
They're all the
Obelisk of
T
the
games.
sun.
It might be Zulkin. For all we know. But yeah, I would, if you like the other games, I'd definitely recommend trying it at least.
Yeah.
I think we got it for a relatively decent price.
Yeah, what was it? I don't actually know, so I'll be the judge of that.
I think it was on sale. It was like $35 or something.
Oh, that's pretty
so
good.
It was pretty good for
pretty good components. A huge board.
This board is very big. So
the Tekenu board's pretty big too, and I don't know if this might be the same size. It might even be bigger. But yeah, these are definitely table hogs.
Yes, they are. And luckily, your player board, or no, you don't get a player board. Your player area isn't very. Doesn't take up much room.
A couple resources and tiles.
So that's good at least. Otherwise, yeah, if you got a huge player board, and there's expansions to this game, so I don't know what they add, but if it adds any player board, you're going to need a pretty big table, because we have a pretty decent sized table, and it takes up a majority of it. So, yeah, one that I can definitely recommend. If you don't like crunchy games, I probably wouldn't recommend it, because it is pretty thinky.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I think that's everything we got on Tekenu.
Not Tekenu.
That's way easier to say. You're gonna have to say it from now on.
You say you don't like Tekenu, but it's all you can say.
It's all in my head. I don't even say Zulkin.
That is all of Teotihucan.
Just about said it, didn't you?
I did. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, you can leave a like down below. And if you're feeling really generous, you can subscribe. We'd really appreciate that. Tell us, what is your favorite of the T-series of games?
Yeah. And as always, don't forget to keep on nibbling.
Keep on nibbling. He stole my line!
On that content.